Fibonacci, Elliott, bloody wave. You know, counting rabbits in terms of sequences seems to make some sense in the markets. Why is that? It's a load of bollocks, that's why. And when we start thinking about the markets in terms of an engineer, you're presented with all this stuff, books, massive amounts of books, articles, moon cycles, absolutely. You know, Saturn's just moved into Uranus, and we all know what happens when anything moves into Uranus. It generally results in a bit of a down cycle. So you can always start to see that the movement of the planets is very, very important to success in the marketplace. The movement of the planets, or not, as the case may be. So we can understand that. When you guys start out as traders, when you start out, you're presented with all this rubbish, all this junk, and you're trying to look at it and say, how do I build a picture? Because ultimately, you're trying to build a picture, right? You're trying to build a narrative. You're trying to build a story to trade with. Because the story is, I'm bullish oil, or I'm bullish gold, or I'm bearish bonds, or whatever. You're trying to build that storyline. And you're presented with all this stuff to try and build a storyline with. But the point is, you don't know what the storyline should be. You have no idea what the storyline should be. It's like having a jigsaw puzzle without having the box to look at what the picture's supposed to be. How the hell do you build a jigsaw puzzle when you don't know what the end outcome is? Well, you start by grouping all the colours together, the orange colours, the reds, the blacks, the whites, the blues and the greens, and you start collecting all the colours together, and you say, right, well, they should all be roughly in the same area. And you start, but it might end up total rubbish. You've no idea why anything works. You've no idea what it is you're supposed to be building with all this junk. So when you've got no idea what you're supposed to be building with all this junk, how do you know you've got the right answer when you're finished? How do you know you've got any answer when you're finished? You might say, because it won the last trade. Yeah, well, when it's won 1,000 trades, let me know. But in the meantime, it's not really worth anything, is it? So the fact that people are starting to ask questions again and get it back into that idea of, inquiry, that idea of inquiry is incredibly profitable because it answers that question. So the fact that you're an engineer trying to put together all these pieces, now what's happening is you're trying to figure out why you're trying to put all these pieces together. Now you're trying to put all these pieces together because you now have the jigsaw puzzle box to look at it and say, wait a second, it's got nothing to do with moon cycles. It's got nothing to do with the alignment of the planets. It's got nothing to do with Fibonacci, and it's got nothing to do with Elliott wave. It's a load of bollocks. They're all force-fitted to try and explain a market. That's not right. You don't force-fit to explain a market. You try and explain a market on the right-hand edge, as we have done on the last two occasions where we called a short trade in live in the room on oil and a long trade live in the room on the S&P. Both of which made a lot of money. Both of which made a lot of money. So when you ask questions, you start adding that intellectual angle to your trading. Okay, I've got all these pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. I want to know what it is I'm expected to try and build. And even if you're not very good at building stuff, and my God, I'm rubbish when it comes to trying to do any kind of DIY. I mean, don't even ask me, guys. I'll put a hole in your wall, no problem, but I'll not be able to build it back up again. But the problem is, that's what you're faced with when you're a trader. You're faced with all these bits and pieces, all these opportunities, all these things going on, but you've no idea what the picture should look like in the first place. So you've got to be able to combine both. A lot of guys that are successful in the banks are successful because they have somebody telling them what to do. So somebody going into their desk and saying, right guys, I want you to be long today, I want you to get net longs, I want you to make sure you're bidding above VWAP, I want to make sure you're bidding as close to VWAP, but above VWAP. I want to make sure we're in this move. Well, that's their job. Now their job as traders are just to go in action on that instruction. They don't have to think for themselves. They're able to just action on that instruction because they're good traders. They see the order flow, they see the narrative, but there's no reason, they don't have a clue why they're doing it. They just see the narrative. They see the order flow. They see the liquidity being scooped up, and they say, right, buy me some, buy me some. And they make a lot of money, and everybody says, that guy's a great trader. He might be a great trader, but he doesn't know why he's buying it, because he's been told to buy it by somebody else. He's been given that instruction. And if you're given that instruction, you're going to be looking at it saying, yeah, but I really want to know why I'm going to be buying it, because I don't have somebody telling me what to do in the retail space. You want to be the same guy. You want to be the guy that tells you what to do, and you want to be the guy that does it. You want to be the guy that actions it. Some of you guys are great at actioning, but you're actioning rubbish. You're taking crap trades well, if you like. If you know what I mean, you're taking crap trades well, and you're not making any money. And some of you guys are great at analyzing, but you're crap at taking the trades in the first place, so you don't take any trades, or you take them really badly as well. So execution becomes incredibly important to this narrative. But you've got to be able to learn both sides. You can't just learn one side of the markets. You've got to learn both. That's where most of these academic books fall apart. They teach fundamentals, or they teach technicals, or they teach all the other things, price action, or they teach order flow. You can't get by with just one of those elements. The best fundamental traders in the world are not very good profitable traders. The best technical traders in the world are not very good profitable traders, because they're not combining an awful lot of the elements. They're too ingrained in that subject rather than being traders, looking for value, price, volumes, all of the elements, and adding them all together to make a proper all-round picture. That's what we're trying to do in here, isn't it? We're trying to make an all-round picture so that when you guys present with a marketplace, you say, right, I've got order flow that says we should be buying this. What the hell am I doing anywhere else? I'm going to buy into this narrative. That's what VWAP is very good for. This is the idea of liquidity, of course. The idea of VWAP is, well, if VWAP's going up and price is above it, I want to buy into those squeezes. I want to buy into those squeezes because I know where the squeeze is. VWAP allows you to do that, doesn't it? VWAP allows you to make sure you're trading from the inside out for volatility. And it's up to you to then read the change in the volatility narrative by looking at the VWAP narrative unfolding. That oil price, by the way, eventually traded 106.70, guys. 106.70. We called it at 114.30. Couldn't make it up, guys. You couldn't make it up. Unbelievable. What a trade. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest, guys. I mean, that's the good thing, isn't it? I mean, anybody that says that they knew that was going to happen is an absolute fool. All I knew was I wanted to be selling it for perhaps 10 ticks, and the fact that we broke is no special talent that I've got. We just got lucky, right? We got lucky. You understand? We got lucky. So don't start claiming credit for it. Don't start thinking that you're a superstar trader and all of a sudden everything is just the way it should be. That's not what superstar trading is. Superstar trading is when you're making consecutively correct, low-risk decisions over and over and over again. What happens next is luck. Sometimes you get a big breaker. Sometimes you get a scratch trade. You don't have control over that part. All you've got control over is how good the trade is when you come into the deal. Make sense? Makes sense. Anyway, welcome in, guys. We are just 20 minutes ahead of cash open. We'll be talking about initial balancing.